Hey, good morning, everybody. I haven't posted anything in quite some time. You'll have to excuse the quality. I'm literally just sitting here in my armchair, and it's probably about 6:30. But I get up very early usually, and so it's Saturday morning, and I woke up at 4:30 because my body's crazy. But I was sitting at my breakfast table doing. I have a really cool devotional by Paul David Tripp that's amazing. It's New Morning Mercies. I really highly recommend it. So I just thought, I would love some encouragement. And if you haven't ever seen any of my other videos, I'm a Christian. I'm a Jesus lover and a Marvel nerd. And I also have obsessive compulsive disorder. And I've really been on a journey of healing for the last 12 years, but I didn't know I had OCD until last June. Well, not this past June, but June of 2020. And so since then, I've been on a healing journey and have learned so much. And I pulled up this video of a gentleman sharing about OCD in a Christian sort of teaching setting, and props to him because we need that in the church. It's actually a desire, a passion of mine, a dream of mine to have just a mental health class. I feel called to pastor, and whatever church that ends up taking place at, I would love to have a mental health class. But, and not just a class, but also a place of freedom and a safe place to actually encounter Jesus in the middle of mental illness or disorders or whatever, because he is the healer, and the presence of God, he brings freedom to anything and everything we could face. But I wanted to kind of explain OCD from the perspective of someone who actually has it, because I was listening to this gentleman try and explain obsessions and compulsions, and he was doing great, but he's really just kind of taking information that he's read and seen online and everything like that. And for some people, you have a limited perspective on what a disorder actually is, and until you've either experienced it, which I don't wish for anyone, or someone who does experience it. So when people talk about obsessions, really what I came to understand, because I have a biblical worldview, and for a long time and not that the Bible teaches this necessarily, but my church culture, I come from a very charismatic background, which I'm very grateful for, but a lot of times the charismatic church labels everything as a spiritual problem. And when I say a spiritual problem, I mean something that can be fixed by deliverance or inner healing or whatever. Well, mostly just by deliverance. Like, it's a demon problem, it's the spirit of fear, it's da-da-da-da-da. And kind of overlook the medical side of things. So an obsession, we know an obsession is an unwanted thought or feeling or idea or urge that comes that the sufferer of OCD does not want. They don't want to be thinking about these things. They don't want to be afraid. They don't want to be obsessing. They don't want to be ruminating. They want to let it go. They want to not be afraid. They don't want to be tormented. But this thought, this idea, this fear, this what if, these unwanted, intrusive thoughts that can be violent, sexual, blasphemous, every horrible thing you could think of. They don't want any of these things. The reason why they can be so consuming and so debilitating, it actually comes from your body. So if you have an anxiety disorder, that means that your body's God-given system to protect you from danger has been hijacked and is faulty. So your fight or flight response, if you were walking across the street and a car nearly hits you, there are so many processes and so many things that happen in your body when you're faced with an actual danger. And just think about that fight or flight response being jammed, and or the switch, so to speak, being stuck in on, and you can't turn it off. And so your body goes into what I heard described as this place of scanning. So your brain is scanning for danger. It's looking for the danger, because your body's telling, or your brain is telling your body rather, that there's something wrong. There's danger there. And so you have changes in your body. Your heart beats faster. You're more on edge. I know cortisol has plays a part in it. I'm not a scientist, and I haven't studied hardcore about the fight or flight response, but just basic description. So basically, your body is convinced that there's mortal danger, and so then your brain is scanning and saying, okay, where is this danger? Where is it coming from? And so what happens is that you're almost looking at situations under a microscope. And for instance, say you deal with contamination type obsessions, whereas somebody who doesn't struggle would go to the bathroom, wash their hands, call it a day. Well, somebody who is struggling with obsessive compulsive disorder and OCD has latched onto this thought of, what if I get sick? What if I get other people sick? What if I have a disease? What if I pass something along to someone else? You wash your hands, and then you go to grab that doorknob again to open the door. Well, OCD causes your brain to be like, wait a minute, I just touched germs again. I have to go wash my hands again. Or you come in from outside and you take your shoes off and you leave them by the door and you come in the house. Or maybe you walk to your bedroom and take your shoes off in your closet like I do. Well, OCD, the brain that's affected by OCD goes, oh no, I just tracked in dirt or germs or disease. Like, what if I get my family sick? Well, that's not usually how that works, but the OCD brain is hyper focused, it's magnified, and it's insanely analytical and detail oriented because it's in that fight or flight response. And so what is so hard about obsessions is that this feeling, these alarm bells, are coming from your body. So you're literally, in order to not be ruled and dominated by these obsessions, you literally have to become what Brain Lock calls the impartial spectator. You have to use your brain and go, okay, I have OCD, and this does not happen easily, and it comes with support. And if you have therapists or you read books, or you know what I'm saying, you develop these tools, but you go, okay, my body's in fight or flight, my brain is scanning, I don't need to think about these things right now. I need to let my thoughts come in and out, put one foot in front of the other, do what's in front of me, and then eventually the anxiety is going to calm down. I'm going to be able to think clearly. But right now, I'm in fear mode, I'm in fight or flight mode, so I need to put these thoughts on the back burner and do what's in front of me, and eventually this anxiety will pass. But you literally have to become master over your own body and over your own experience, because OCD, because of the fear, it feels so real. And if you don't allow the anxiety to be there, and if you don't foster tools to not get underneath that thinking, you lose your objectivity. For instance, I've struggled with relationship OCD, and say I'm dating someone, and say we have very different views on dating, and we have a different baseline of communication or gifts or affection or whatever. Say we have the same values as a person, but we have different experiences with dating, and so that's a learning curve. We'll say that person does something that maybe pushes a boundary or they just don't know or whatever. And your brain in that scanning mode goes, oh no, I have to end this relationship. I have to blah, 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 blah. Well, when that fear and that panic comes, you have to be able to go, okay, that's OCD talking. So I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to take this one step at a time. If you're a Christian, I'm going to pray and ask God to give me wisdom. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. I really don't have to respond to that right now. I'm not in mortal danger. This person's not dangerous. They're not hurting me. They're not hitting me. I'm not marrying them tomorrow. I actually can have some time, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to put these thoughts and fears on the back burner, and I'm going to walk this out. If you don't do that and you follow the OCD train where it wants to take you, you lose your objectivity and you become convinced that this thought or this fear is the only possible explanation. And so if you're in full-blown compulsive state, which is the compulsion is what you do to mitigate the anxiety because it's so excruciating. The anxiety feels like death, you guys. I'm on medication, and it's hard with medication, but without medication, you feel like the world is gonna, like the earth is gonna open up and swallow you. It's terrifying. It's horrible. When you're in full-blown compulsive mode and you're reassurance seeking or you're Googling or you're, I deal with more of like a pure O, not the physical compulsions. If you tell a person who's separated from the situation what's going on with you, they're going to be like, yeah, I can kind of see how you would be a little concerned, but, just da-da-da-da-da, and they're going to give you this reasonable response. Well, if you stay in that compulsive cycle, you're going to end up not believing them, thinking that they're wrong, and you're going to keep looking for an answer. So anyways, that's a lot, but I just wanted to kind of give some insight of where do the obsessions come from and what does it feel like for the OCD sufferer. So it's a fight or flight response in your body that's stuck in on all of the time. Your whole body is telling you that you're in mortal danger. And so every obsession, even if it's not a huge deal, even if it's, what if I have to break up with this guy? Well, that's not life-threatening. You date this guy for a month and you figure out he's not for me, and you have to, you don't have to do anything, but you decide, hey, this isn't working for me. That's going to hurt maybe, that's going to suck, that's going to be a disappointment, but you're not going to be hurt physically. But your body is telling you that the result of this is mortal danger. That is what makes the obsession so hard to not listen to and to not get underneath and to not respond to. It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm in a pretty decent place with OCD, and it is freaking hard. So I just wanted to kind of give some insight into where that comes from. And I haven't posted a whole lot on this channel, but if you see this and if there's anything that you want to know or you want me to talk about, just post, leave a comment, and I would be happy to respond on another video. But yeah, my name's Jessica. I'm 32. I live in Spring, Texas. I love Jesus. I have been diagnosed with OCD. I love fashion. I love Marvel. I love Baby Yoda. Just a little bit about me. I know that's a little backwards, but it is 6:30 in the morning right now. So you guys have a great day. You're not alone. Jesus is with you. If you don't know him, you can. And if you have questions about that, you can drop me a line and I'll definitely respond. So you guys have a great Saturday.